Hey everybody, welcome back to the stream and the episode. This is my first episode on my new channel, Swim Sports Talk. I figured I would start off with an interesting new series to get the ball rolling, and we're going to call it Overrated Coaches. And we're going to go off of my personal opinion, and everybody who comments and wants to hear about another coach that they think is overrated, I'll do the research and figure out why that reasoning is, for and against. And today, I'll be talking about Bruce Arians, the current Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. So let's start off. I like to start off my episodes with a fun fact of the day. So my fun fact today will be that Bruce Arians shared a college dorm. He was the first Virginia Tech player to share a dorm, like white player with a black player, and his roommate was Rondé and Tiki Barber's dad, which is actually kind of cool. So then we can go into his coaching career. He was a grad assistant at Virginia Tech, where he played the year prior and was the starting quarterback. He then went to Mississippi State and coached running backs and wide receivers for 2 years. And then he got hired under Coach Bear Bryant at Alabama to coach running backs in 78 to 80. And then he got hired at his first head coaching job at the University of Temple and was head coach over there for 5 seasons, where he had an overall record of 27 and 39. He only had one winning season at Temple, and they went 6-5 in that season, which was the wins for that season were later forfeited because the running back, who was the runner-up for the Heisman that year, had signed with a sporting agent before the season started. Then, after Temple, he got hired finally to the NFL. For some reason, after being an unsuccessful coach in 1988, he got hired as the running backs coach for the Chiefs, with Coach Bill Cowher, who ended up being the Steelers coach, and later brought him on to coach with the Steelers as well. He kind of jumped back and forth between the NFL and college until about 98, where he got his first head coaching job. Not even a head coaching job. He was a quarterbacks coach for the Colts, and he got to coach Peyton Manning. It was his rookie season. So he had very good success with Peyton Manning. I would like to say carried by Peyton Manning, along with the rest of the quarterbacks throughout his career that have brought him success. He then left Indianapolis from 2001 to 2003 and got hired for the Browns under Butch Davis. They went 9-7 in 2002, which was second in the newly aligned AFC North, which is aligned with the same teams we know today: the Steelers, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns. And brought them to a wild card berth in the playoffs, where they lost to the Steelers by 36 to 33, in the first round. He worked with Chuck Pagano, which is another notable coach, who served as the Browns secondary coach from 2001 to 2004. It's said that Arians' coaching philosophy can be summed up with one phrase: no risk it, no biscuit. You can't live scared. His former quarterback in Arizona, Carson Palmer, another very great quarterback who I would say carried Arians to look good, says you can play for him. You just see, you play for him, you see he has guts. He will let it rip, let it fly, no matter what. And then going on, he got to coach the Steelers, as I'd stated earlier, in 2003, and he led them all the way until 2007, when he was hired as the offensive coordinator, promoted from being the receivers coach to the offensive coordinator, and would go on to win Super Bowl 43. But he also had Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, who in his prime was an incredible quarterback, a great arm talent, and just knew how to make reads. I'm sure anybody who had watched him back then would have known. He was later kind of run out of Pittsburgh because the offense that he ran led to Ben Roethlisberger, a quarterback who's not very mobile, getting sacked the most out of any quarterback in the league at the time because of his almost air raid like offense, where he likes to throw it into double coverage, which we'll see how that's affected some bad quarterbacks later on. And then finally in 2012, after he had been ran out of Pittsburgh, he agreed to become the offensive coordinator for the Colts, a team that he had previously coached quarterbacks for earlier on in his career. He got reunited with Peyton Manning until Manning got released 2 months later. He was then named the interim coach for the Colts after Coach Pagano got diagnosed with leukemia, and he went 9-3 as the interim coach, being the first interim coach ever to win Coach of the Year. But all of those wins are credited to Pagano under Bruce Arians' win-loss record. They then went on to win 2 playoff games in 2011. The season that he ended up coaching 9-3, they didn't even make it to the Super Bowl for having such a good team. And then Coach Pagano returned the next season, and the Colts returned to the playoffs. Pagano finally returned in December 2012, with Arians stepping back down to the offensive coordinator. Arians missed the first wild card round that season in the playoffs with an illness that he got hospitalized with. Unfortunately, he had a great season. He missed games. Coach missed games. That team probably would have won the Super Bowl if they had consistency throughout the year. Then moving on, the next year, he got hired by the Arizona Cardinals to be their head coach on a 4-year deal to make him their 40th head coach ever. In 2013, his first move as a head coach, Arians decided to take the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, from LSU, even though he had just been arrested for drug possessions prior to the draft. He was the first head coach for the Cardinals since 1925 to record at least 9 wins in his first season, where he went 10-6. But, mind you, he did have Carson Palmer as his quarterback, who was already well established in the league. The next season, he went 11-5 in his second season, and were tied for the number 5 seed in the NFC, which is a huge difference compared to where football is now. If you win 11 games, nowadays you can be a top 4 seed. So for them to be 5th at an 11-5 record is incredible. The 11 wins tied the Cardinals' highest franchise wins in a season. However, they started 9-1 and finished 11-5. So within their last couple of games, they just had a terrible losing record. Carson Palmer started 6-0 in that season, and then got injured and had to be replaced by Drew Stanton, who went 5-3, and then kind of fell off. So, again, Bruce Arians underproduces with an incredible team when he doesn't have a star-studded quarterback room. The next year, he signed an extension with the Cardinals through 2018, and started 3-0 for the second season straight, and led the Cardinals to a 13-3, setting a new franchise win record for the regular season. They beat the Packers by 6 in the divisional round of the playoffs, and the next Sunday, the Cardinals were defeated by the Panthers for the second year in a row in the playoffs. This time, they lost 49-15. In the 2016 season, Arians led the team to a 7-8-1 record after Carson Palmer had retired and kind of fell off. And then the next year, in 2017, he also led them to a 500 record at 8-8. He decided to step down from head coaching and retire, maybe because he knew he wasn't going to get any better. He didn't have a great quarterback. I'm not sure what the reason was. But in 2019, after taking a season off, the Bucs decided to hire him as their head coach, and he had Jameis Winston at quarterback, and we all know how that went. He threw for 36 touchdowns, I think, and 30 interceptions in Arians' air raid-esque offense, and the Bucs did not make the playoffs. They were maybe an above average team. Um, and Sean McVay, who's I personally think a great coach for the Saints, has shown that you can win games with Jameis Winston if you know how to coach him properly. So I think that again points to Arians being an overrated coach thanks to the people he's gotten to work with in his career. He finally got rid of Winston the next year in 2020 and signed Brady, who most people believe is the greatest quarterback of all time, at least the most winning. And I think he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And kind of built a team around him by bringing in Gronkowski out of retirement and bringing in Antonio Brown, even though he had a troubled past, and just set them up for success. And almost the same team that he had had the year before, went on to win the Super Bowl after not making the playoffs, simply because of a quarterback change. And yeah, I just I guess going off of why I think Bruce Arians is overrated is because he had a very subpar college coaching record. He got bolstered in his coaching career because he got to coach under Bear Bryant, and Bear Bryant's tree goes far. His coaching tree is incredible when it comes to looking through the coaching history of any team at this point. And then he got to coach Peyton Manning as a rookie. He got to coach Ben Roethlisberger. He got to coach Carson Palmer and now Tom Brady. But when you see he has an average or above average quarterback as opposed to a superstar, he underperforms with the team and almost runs from the criticism by being like ran out of Pittsburgh and being retiring from the Cardinals instead of trying to help rebuild because he knew that he would almost get exposed without without a great quarterback there. So that is all I have to say on this subject, and we'll pick up back tomorrow with. I think I'm going to do Chris Beard next, the college coach for Texas in basketball. So thank y'all for watching. And